Speaking of
Nice.
things that are not screaming on Crunchyroll,
Yeah.
time for a little box office analysis. And since we are 2 weeks behind, uh, we can talk a little bit about the week that was for September 8th as well as this week.
Yes. So The Nun 2 is at the top, which is probably not that surprising, considering there isn't really much coming out.
No, Equalizer 3 surprised everyone by just kind of plummeting.
Hmm. I
Like,
think everybody who wanted to see that wanted to see it saw it opening weekend, and then
and
yes,
then down it goes.
yeah.
Uh, the other big release from 2 weeks ago was My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, which
Hmm.
I was kind of surprised that they bothered to make one or make another
Yeah,
sequel
yeah,
because, like, the creator's been like trying to make these things. I think so. The original was an enormous box office juggernaut.
yeah. I think it was like the highest grossing indie movie for a while, wasn't it?
That sounds right. I think I remember hearing about that. Um, uh, the numbers puts in the category of delayed sequel, which is funny.
Yeah,
It's here. Franchise, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Yeah. So the original came out with a
2002.
production budget of 5 million,
Yeah.
opening weekend of 597,000, and ended its run at 241 million
Wow.
in $2002.
Yeah, that's a lot of money back then. Yeah.
Yep. Heck, Blue Beetle would love to see that these days.
Oh yeah.
Then the sequel came out with, in 2016. Was it that long of a gap? Sheesh.
Yeah, that sounds about
And
right. Yeah.
yeah, 18 million, uh, only made about 59 million domestically.
Mm.
And then this new one, they're too cowardly to release a production budget on the numbers, and it opened to a little more than half of what the sequel did.
Yeah.
There was also a My Big Fat Greek Life TV show in there that did not last long.
Yeah, I don't even think it didn't even make it a whole season.
Oof, did it get cut off that soon? Oof.
I think it did. Yeah, they cut it off after like 10 episodes or something.
I say again, oof.
Yeah.
The other, now I will say that as somebody who grew up in a household that loved rom coms,
Hmm.
Sandra Bullock is the best girl, and Julia Roberts is the devil, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Uh, the original actually has like a soft spot in my heart just because it of some amusing jokes in there about like her out of touch Greek immigrant parents,
Uh,
especially her
yeah.
dad. Her dad is a great character.
Mm.
Like he thinks that Windex is the cure for everything. So like if he sprains his elbow, he'll like have his wrist in a bowl full of Windex to treat it.
Oh boy.
So just that kind of like tame humor.
Yeah.
And but I don't know anybody who ever saw the second one, so I can't speak to why they would make a third besides trying to like the original was very much a successful guy gets involved with a girl who he is way out of her league.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so it's very much like I don't know, singleton or housewife fantasies.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's well meaning and cute.
Mm. Yeah.
Actually, a mild recommend.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, who thought we wanted another one in 2023? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is the actress in the movie. I mean, you could kind of see it from the poster there. She's actually lost quite a lot of weight since the first movie.
Yeah, it should be called like My Big Keto Greek Wedding now.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, less less pita, more more Zithra cheese.
So, yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, this will. I can't tell you if it would actually be big on streaming or not. This seems like somebody trying to recapture something.
Yeah, trying to do some nostalgia bait there. Yeah.
Yep. Um, Now, as far as other winners and losers,
Barbie's
Barbie
still
is,
still top five. Yeah.
yeah, at least was 2 weeks ago. We'll see in a moment.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle, oof.
Mm,
Like I think I said originally I was very upset that this movie didn't do better. Now I'm kind of downgraded it to, I see why.
yeah.
It's got some issues, but it's not a hurtful movie really.
Yeah.
Um, I will say that thanks to Barbie, Warner Brothers didn't have a completely disastrous summer.
Yeah, that's true.
Considering that Barbie has to make up for Blue Beetle, Flash, Meg 2, The Trench.
Shazam from earlier in the year.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like just that difference in performance is really making me wonder if somebody at Warner Brothers is whispering in Zaslav's ear. Do we really need a connected superhero universe? Maybe we just pull back and see what Gunn can make of Superman before we commit to anything.
It wouldn't surprise me if that wasn't the case. Yeah. Because the way superhero movies are going now, the downward trajectory. I mean, yeah, I, I would be very cautious.
Heck, even TMNT is kind of a superhero movie.
Yeah,
And it's eating it despite everything I've heard about it being actually a good movie, which Daniel and I were talking before the show that Paramount Plus is weirdly, like, at least it's my favorite non Crunchyroll streaming service at this point because okay, like, my problem with when I have a Netflix subscription available is that I often can't find anything I actually feel like watching.
yeah,
It's weird. Like they have this, and like friends or family will show me a movie or TV show on there, and it'll be totally fine or
yeah,
even good. But there's just something about the way that they present their shows with like those trailers or the descriptions or whatever that
yeah.
always makes them seem worse than they actually are. I don't know what it is. Like they just have this anti-marketing.
Yeah, it's odd. Yeah, I will grant you that. Yeah,
But like they objectively have the best collection out there, especially. But there's like a lot of stuff to sift through, and it can be very hard to actually identify if it's something you're interested in.
yeah. I had a cousin who a woman female cousin. She compared Netflix to Forever 21. Of course, I've never shopped at Forever 21, but she's like, Forever 21, it's like you find you find a few gems of clothing in there, and then just
Mhm.
the rest of it's just crap. It's just a bunch of stuff, you know.
But like Paramount Plus just keeps having things that are at least somewhat interesting. Like you watched Transformers a few weeks back; they have that.
Yeah.
Now they have Ninja Turtles, which, man, that's embarrassing after about a month in the theaters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so maybe that should be our one of our things of the week at some point.
We can do that next week. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Um, Now, if we move ahead a little bit, also Warner Brothers has one advantage. It had Barbie, unlike Disney, that had nothing,
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. But
Yeah.
um, we fast forward a week, and The Nun 2 is still up there.
Mm,
Equalizer is still fading fast. And the new
yeah.
Haunting in Venice movie, which just put Hercule Poirot's name in the title so that people know it isn't
Yeah.
actually a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of that, Ninja says crossing his fingers on Haunting of Venice. He says he saw it opening weekend. It was very good, 100 times better than Death on the Nile. Well, that's good because Death on the Nile was awful.
Did you actually
Um,
see it?
yeah, I watched it on. He said not as good as Morgan. Okay, not as good as Orient Express, but yeah, Death on the Nile
Mm.
was. I watched it on Max. It was god awful.
I haven't seen either of those, so now I know though if I do give them a shot to skip the middle one, because
Yeah.
multiple people now who have had that opinion
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've talked
It's
to.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like if you looked at this and you like let's say that you didn't know what a Hercule Poirot was because you just missed that those other two movies existed.
Yeah.
You would have no idea what the movie was actually about just looking at this poster, the bad
No.
poster.
Yeah. You would think it was like a haunted house movie.
Yeah, bad, bad, bad. Call it Hercule Poirot in A Haunting in Venice, or
Yeah.
A Haunting in Venice, a Hercule Poirot mystery.
Yes. Yeah.
What I really pulled this up to look at though is I was curious how it compared to the Death of the Nile's opening weekend, and it beat it from last year.
Yeah. God, Death on the Nile had a $90 million budget. I wouldn't have guessed that watching that movie. This it had some of the cheapest CGI I have ever seen, and that's
You
saying
know,
something.
well, Holy Ninja says the title makes sense, and yeah, I mean
Oh, yeah.
it does since it involves a mystery with a séance. I'm just saying that if you're putting it out vaguely in Halloween season, you might
Mhm.
have some confusion about what the movie actually is.
Yeah. Yeah. Ninja says Death on the Nile failed as a mystery movie. Yeah. They don't present all of the clues, so it makes the solution feel like it came. Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah,
Oof,
that movie was just a mess all around. Yeah, yeah.
once
But
again, they're too cowardly to say what the budget on this thing was.
well, I'm sure it's probably somewhere around Death on the Nile, around
Uh,
90 million.
yeah, I mean, I would say that the one advantage it might have is depending on when it was being shot, because like any movie that came out that was like, produced during COVID times, a lot of its budget is going to be inflated by the production restraints,
Right. Yeah.
buying mountains of Clorox and
Yeah, and paper masks and yeah.
and being limited for how many people you can have in a scene and so on and so on.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so that's the only really big release that came out because of course
Yeah.
September is usually kind of a dead zone for the movies.
Right. Yeah.
Um, to kind of pull, can you? Yeah, Blue Beetle didn't really improve its standing week over week. Uh,
Mm.
Barbie is now out digitally.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yeah.
the fact that it's still clinging to the top five stubbornly, well, it does point out I guess it's kind of in that Top Gun category where it's like it's mostly spent, but there's not much else. So people who are late to the party are going, well, I feel like going to the movies.
Yeah.
I also try this Barbenheimer everyone's been talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It is kind of hilarious to me that Barbie and Oppenheimer just were like they were um, linked or they were joined at the hip mimetically,
Yeah.
but there's like this weirdly consistent trend where Oppenheimer always seems to make almost exactly what Barbie made in any given week as
Yeah.
we were reporting on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then probably about a month into it, that's when they kind of Barbie started to pull ahead.
Let's see. So, well, I think that like that sort of vaguely like, well, you know what? Let's just pull it up because there isn't a whole lot of other interest.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
also, Strays is already on digital. I was getting ads in my email 2 weeks after it came out.
Oh, jeez.
I've just heard it's awful. Like,
Yeah.
which is not surprising considering that that is not what I wanted. I wanted Oppenheimer, and I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so nearly $1 billion.
Wow.
That is big overseas. Wow. Like,
Okay. The inevitable question I have to ask: how did they do in Japan?
let's find out. Um,
uh,
the cowards don't actually list Japan as a market.
it might not have, you know what? They might not have gotten a Japanese release.
Yeah. Either way, it seems to have bombed there.
Oh, but ooh,
we're over 21 years. It's now funny.
yeah, yes,
All right. But yeah, the biggest market. Okay, so China is a pretty big market.
yeah.
The UK is like the biggest one. Germany, France. Yeah, like this seems like a South Korea.
Hmm.
I did hear some people saying unofficially that there were certain scenes of certain uses of the technology that the South Korean crowds would literally cheered for. Don't have confirmation on that, but I saw some people saying it.
Uh,
But yet that really shocked me that that it
yeah,
was that big overseas. Because if
yeah.
we compare it to its sister movie, it's not as far behind as I was expecting.
No, that's pretty amazing.
Although the U.S. box office is like, yeah, 319 versus 626, almost exactly half of Barbie, and
Wow.
it just kept that ratio the whole time. It's weird.
Yeah, that is strange. God.
You don't usually see things in lockstep like that.
No, no, it's well, it could very well be just because there was nothing else out to see really that was anybody wanted to see.
Yeah, and I guess it tells you that the audience for a sort of crowd pleasing popcorn movie is about half, or is about double the audience for an R-rated 3-hour historical drama.
Yes.
I would totally believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
But yeah, like part of why we've been talking about doing more reviews and less news. And boy, there's been some juicy news lately. But go watch your Clownfish TV or Valiant Renegade for that,
Right. Yeah.
uh, because they'll give you a good breakdown of all the dumb crap Disney's been doing.
Oh yeah. 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 Valiant. I'm sure he'll appreciate us promoting it. But yeah, Valiant Renegade did a video not too long ago talking about the actual cost of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, also apparently the Marvels may have cost 300 million instead of the 125 they're claiming everywhere.
Oh. Jeez. Yeah.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, Ninja, they cost more? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, if he's talking the Star Wars movies, yeah. So to kind of just like this is the type of thing that Valiant Renegade has brought to people's attention. And it's
Mhm.
interesting with these YouTube conversations how a new player shows up and suddenly the conversation gets elevated and changed.
Yeah.
Like comics YouTube suddenly like once Comics Perch showed up, who actually had been a comic retailer, suddenly a lot of like I noticed a lot of myths that had been going around about certain things went away.
Yeah.
Valiant Renegade was a similar shot in the arm for us armchair YouTube critics,
Yeah.
because among other things, he clued us all into the fact that for these movies where they film part of it in the UK, to get the tax credits, they have to actually report what the actual budget of the movie was.
Yes. Yeah. We saw that with Doctor Strange 2,
Hmm.
and then the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, which those those movies did not combined cost 700 million.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts.
Yeah, and then the Star Wars movies was the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah, who would have thought?
yeah. But
Um, so yeah, so the any numbers we have on here, I now really suspect, but short of pulling up those UK things for movies where they film some in the UK, what else can we do besides go with them and just go, well, assuming the numbers are good.
yeah. That's really all we can do. Yeah, it's sort of like exit the exit polls in the 2004 presidential election. Like
Yep.
they they may be wrong, but that's all we got.
Yep.